The issue in Kenya court is how did NNAMDI Kanu rendition from Kenya to Nigeria? Right. The Kenyan government is not charging NNAMDI Kanu for any offense. That was why he won there. Can't you see it? That was why the Kenyan court had to rule in favor of NNAMDI Kanu. The Kenyan government don't have any issue with NNAMDI Kanu. That's the difference. But here in Nigeria, the federal government is saying that NNAMDI Kanu committed a treasonable felony. And that is what is at stake now.
The perception that some people believe that because Kanu has committed some crimes, why should anybody fight for him? I'm going to answer this way. You know Nelson Mandela? Yes. He was regarded as a terrorist because he was fighting for the liberation of blacks in South Africa. In fact, Nelson Mandela's name was not removed as a terrorist until he became president of South Africa. That was when the US lifted the terrorism tag, granted him a visa, and traveled across the world.
Depending on your time zone and your location. That's about the 31st day of October 2025. And in 4 days' time, MAZI NNAMDI Kanu will be live again at the Federal High Court in Abuja for the continuation of this same Ukua Akaponono. Yes, the Kenyan court, according to Dalinton, Kenyan court has no case with MAZI NNAMDI Kanu, and that was why MAZI NNAMDI Kanu won in Kenya and told Nigerian government to free this man. That they, on their own side, they will award him some amount of money I mentioned at that time as compensation. You understand? So I'll play you guys this exclusive interview that's been making the headlines throughout yesterday. I'm not home listing on new video or old video, but the video has been trending everywhere on Space, on Facebook, everywhere. And also a video of Omoyele Sowore interview yesterday after he went to Ondo or Akure, where he went for a rally, I think. I'll play you guys another video about Omoyele Sowore. Is MAZI NNAMDI Kanu a terrorist? Igami for Dalinton Media. I'll play you guys the two videos to watch, so we can wait no data settle down if you watch this very interesting video. Share your thoughts and your opinion on the comment section after watching the video, and also do well to share. First of all, can I get Mr. Dalinton if you on this video? After that, I get Zefe Omoyele Sowore on his own side. Share your thoughts on the comment section. Enjoy the rest of the videos. I will be right back.
The Kenyan government don't have any issue with NNAMDI Kanu. That's the difference. But here in Nigeria, the federal government is saying that NNAMDI Kanu committed a treasonable felony. And that is what is at stake now. So it is not left for NNAMDI Kanu or his legal team to say, look, when the case come up, why do you rendition is a different issue entirely. That is why he won in Kenya.
Let's wait and see how that actually turned out. Because first,
the federal government brought NNAMDI Kanu to Nigeria for a case of terrorism. That is issue at stake. The onus is on NNAMDI Kanu to now question his extraordinary rendition. These are two different things. NNAMDI Kanu ought to sue the federal government, but as of today, NNAMDI Kanu is not suing anybody. Rather, the federal government is suing NNAMDI Kanu for what he did or what he was alleged to have been done. The two of them are different. It is after this case has been adjudicated upon, then NNAMDI Kanu can now question why they had to kidnap him from Kenya.
Barrister, wouldn't that be like medicine after death?
No, it's not. But you can't mix up the two cases now. You are not challenging why you were brought from Kenya. You are not.
Barrister, he did challenge it. That was why the court said you don't have the position to try him.
Listen,
he challenged it.
The first thing that the federal government did was to bring him for trial over what? Terrorism. That is the issue at stake now. NNAMDI Kanu can no longer come and say, because you brought me extraordinarily through extraordinary means, therefore you have.
On what ground? On what ground did the appeal court say that the High Court ab initio doesn't have local standard to try him? On what ground was that judgment given?
Look at it. The judges that carried that decision in the appeal court, where are they now? Do you know that?
No, barrister.
They
forget where are they. On what ground did the appeal court give that judgment? Did the court grant NNAMDI a prayer that he didn't ask for?
No, NNAMDI Kanu was mixing it up initially. When they brought those charges, remember the charges that was quashed in the appeal court, 15 count charges. is those things that the DSS brought against him, and it was quashed. Even when they got to the Supreme Court now told Nnamdi Kanu, sue the federal government, enter a civil suit against the federal government for what they did to you. That was where they now brought all these charges against Nnamdi Kanu. So that is what we are talking about now. But so far, Nnamdi Kanu, I didn't hear where we are.
You have not answered my question.
I have answered you, but you don't understand.
I'm asking you, on what ground did the appeal court say that, look, the High Court, because this man was brought in illegally, you don't have the local standard to try him. And I'm asking you, did the appeal court grant a prayer that Nnamdi didn't seek? Or did he just walk into court and court said, look, High Court, you shouldn't have tried him because you brought him back illegally?
The charges at the appeal court, was it not quashed? It was quashed. It was quashed. Is that not true? All the charges against Nnamdi Kanu was quashed at the appeal court.
And yet the appeal court also said the High Court doesn't have right to try him.
At that point, they ought to have left him. But the federal government brought the charges again. When the matter went to appeal, remember, he ought to have been let off the hook. But the federal government, in their own wisdom, brought another charge on Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay.
And that is where we are now.
Okay, not on the previous charges.
I mean, can't you see it? It had been quashed already.
The perception that some people believe that because Kanu has committed some crimes, why should anybody fight for him? I'm going to answer it this way. You know Nelson Mandela? Yes. He was regarded as a terrorist because he was fighting for the liberation of blacks in South Africa. In fact, Nelson Mandela's name was not removed as a terrorist until he became president of South Africa. That was when the US lifted the terrorism tag, granted him a visa, and he traveled across the world. And one of the things he said when he was reaching the US, same question was asked of him. Why is it that as a person who is freedom loving, you are supporting Cuba? Which the person said, that's a human rights violating regime, referring to Fidel Castro. He said to them, sometimes the problem with you people is that you want to choose our friends for us and you want to choose your enemies for us. That is basically what's happening in your NBA group. Some people are trying to choose your enemies for you. So the question you should ask yourself is, what is Nnamdi Kanu fighting for? Self-determination. It came out several years ago that the Igbos are tired of being treated like slaves in the country. And he wants the former Biafran region to break away as a nation state. The constitution is very clear. You can agitate for self-determination. But we don't have the position of referendum in our constitution. He started peacefully. He was going from village to village. In fact, he didn't go from village to village. He was on a radio. His only weapon was a microphone. Guess what? When he was arrested the first time, what they found on him was a microphone, not a gun. They found with Mandela a pistol. But with Nnamdi Kanu, they found a microphone. In fact, when they were asked to present evidence, even in the ongoing case, the evidence presented is that microphone, his underwear, top and bottom, and some of his writings. No element of terrorism was established in court. Nobody has testified that they saw him buying guns or ordering guns or ordering. They brought to court different kinds of audio messages, which was his response to when police was killing his people. When I was at Sahara Reporters, I had in my possession a video which I published at that time. I don't know if Facebook has taken. As the Nigerian army went to where IPOB people were peacefully gathering and shot them dead live. 2014, I think. They killed them right there. This was captured on tape. It was provided by Amnesty International to me. So who committed the crimes? Is it the person who started peacefully or the government who said so? But like I started this with, this was the goal, But the simplest question a lawyer asks when you go to court is evidence, right? If somebody is brought before a court on terrorism charges, and we have not been able to prove it in 4 years, there's something wrong with that process. Meanwhile, Simon Ekpa was arrested maybe last year. He has been convicted within 6 months in Finland. He may not have been as guilty as it, but he has the process of appeal. The trial was speedy, open, and in my own view, fair. What happens to NNAMDI Kanu? You just keep defending or detaining him. Even when the Court of Appeal said that he's discharged and acquitted and wrote that he should be released forthwith, you refuse to honor that court order. And you are going into NBA groups to say, why is anybody fighting? You are taking extra legal steps to violate the right of a campaigner for self-determination. We are taking extra legal steps to force your hand to respect his rights. That is the reason for my protest. And who is in a better position to know a sham trial if it's not Sowore? I've been subjected to as many as 10 of those foolish trials. I have about 3 now pending. And they are going to end up in nothing. That's why since 1992, I don't write statements in police station. They sit me down, we are reading your rights to you, because I know we are not going to trial, for which my statement will be needed. And if I'm going to trial, my statement will not count if you have made up your mind that I'm guilty as charged. So tell your NBA friends that first and foremost we are disappointed in them. They are not even represented in court to observe the trial. The same way they did to me in 2019. The NBA cannot, the American Bar Association sends representative to all my court trials. The Nigerian Bar Association is not in court, even as a friend of the court. You should be there standing up and say, my Lord, can we guide you? This is what the law says. The judge can say, shut up. But you are there. You go to your WhatsApp groups, and you know what they do? They then divide it into Yoruba, the people that are most vocal on NNAMDI, which riles me out, these Yoruba pseudo intellectuals. Sowore, he has committed, will be sending me videos. And I tell them, I say, if you are tired of Nigeria, if Tinubu was tired of Nigeria 20 years ago and he granted an interview that Nigeria should disintegrate, why should you stop others who understand the same right? To be clear, I don't want Nigeria to break up. I'm a Pan-Africanist.